the Bohemian Rhapsody scene like hit a new cultural level. It like revived that song and led to probably the absolute worst scene of the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, which is
that's something you could bang your heads to.
No, it was Mike Myers as a record exec saying no one will ever bang their head to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
I almost left the theater at that point.
Welcome to Idiot Plot, a comedic podcast critiquing, discussing, and analyzing the media industry through reviews, debates, and historical deep dives.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Idiot Plot. I'm David Yanis, joined, as always, by my co-host, Alex Overdahl.
It's like people only do things because they get paid.
And Justin Neitzel.
So, do you come to Milwaukee often?
In today's episode, we're talking about a seminal 90s classic, a true landmark in filmmaking that Gene Siskel called the 8th best movie of 1992. Very, very, very popular, but kind of divided in the modern times. I will say, doing research for this episode, I'm talking about Penelope Spheeris's Wayne's World. We're going to talk about that, and kind of give our full thoughts and rundown of this 90s time capsule, you could probably say. But first, guys, it's been a while. Let's do some what we watched. Okay, so who wants to go first and share what we've been kind of watching the past almost weeks to a month since you've done this?
Yeah.
I'll go. I watched Tick Tick Boom because I was just curious because I know it wasn't voted for Best Picture, but I was curious because I wanted to see how Andrew Garfield's performance compared to some of the other Best Actor nominations. I'm gonna be honest. I went into this movie like literally seeing like snippets of trailers of this. I didn't know anything else about it, but I was actually pleasantly surprised and actually had a fun time. I thought the songs were great and everything. Andrew Garfield earns his Best Actor nomination, I believe. Of the ones I've seen of all the list, I think he's the front runner for me right now.
Interesting.
And I did not know this was directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda until the end of the movie.
I didn't for a while either.
It didn't seem like his style, and it's just like he's a lot better when he's not in front and stage center of the movie.
That's a very common opinion.
Honestly, I've heard nothing but good things about it. I'm honestly, I mean, I don't really like musicals, but honestly, like I'm not opposed to watching that one. Because I've heard, from people who I don't normally hear about musicals from, that it's really good. So I'm definitely interested.
See, I'm with you. I'm not a big musical guy, but this kind of worked. It's kind of like Rocket Man, where it's kind of fantasy, kind of retelling kind of thing, but done a little differently. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. It's not just straight up where people just stop and break out and dance, or it is, but it's told through like he's putting on a play or whatever, and retelling this whole story.
Yeah, because I believe it's based off of like the unfinished play by Jonathan Larson, who did Rent, which is one of the biggest musicals of all time. That he never finished because he died before Tick Tick Boom was done, and so this is kind of a homage to Jonathan Larson in a lot of ways. I wanted to watch it. I did watch Rent recently to prepare to watch Tick Tick Boom because I wanted to understand Rent before I watched Tick Tick Boom, which is not a America movie. I'm sure the Rent play is fantastic. The movie adaptation is not great. Songs are okay. It's a weird movie. Like it's one of those where I feel like as a play it would work really well, but as a movie, a lot of stuff just doesn't work that great. Like the energy's not there.
You definitely feel the energy in this one.
That's because Tick Tick Boom is like you said, it's not like the full stop, show-stopping musical. It seems. I saw a clip on Netflix of like this song that was about like couples therapy or something.
Oh yeah.
And it cut to like the fake musical and then to real life, like back and forth. It was really interesting from a filmmaking perspective.
I will say the editing can be a little wonky at times, but I mean, and some of the subplots they're a little on the nose and everything. But for going in, I wasn't expecting anything. I kind of really enjoyed it. And for one who's not usually a big fan of musicals, I was quite surprised, and I really enjoyed the music. It was very catchy, and I'd been kind of humming some of the songs, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I'm not a big musical fan, but I found myself enjoying more musicals than I usually do. Like my wife made me watch Chicago recently, which I I shockingly enjoyed Chicago. Actually, is a really like good satire. The songs are the worst part of it, in my opinion. But -1, Cell Block Tango is amazing, but the rest kind of gets them. But I take it that means that you would recommend Tick Tick Boom.
Yes, I would.
Are you surprised then that it got snubbed for a Best Picture nomination?
I can't say that now because I haven't seen all the other ones yet.
Have you seen Don't Look Up?
Well, yes, it's definitely better than that. Let's put it that way.
I will say I like because it was one of the like Don't Look Up seemed like it was gonna get in no matter what for some reason. But like as far as the fringe ones, there like Nightmare Alley was one of them. I was a little surprised, not necessarily like good, bad way, whatever. I was a little surprised that it didn't sneak in. I thought it was gonna get one of the last couple spots.
Put it this way, it's like I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's great by any.
Okay.
But with this year, I mean, it could have snuck in. I'm
surprised Nightmare Alley got in because I saw Nightmare Alley recently, and it's not Del Toro's best work. It's not bad. I don't think it's Best Picture worthy. It's too long. It's really slow, and the story doesn't really come together cohesively at the end.
See, I almost watched that instead of Tick Tick Boom, but for some reason I went with this.
It's dude. This year's Oscar race is just weird. I really
don't know what to expect.
Yeah, there's lots of movies at like the same level. I haven't seen anything that really blew me away.
Nothing's showing what's peaking. Nothing's like the clear winner.
Well, like for me, Dune might still be my favorite of the nominees. It's that or Belfast.
Yeah,
I really like both of them, but there's no way Dune's gonna win.
No,
Belfast might. Belfast is gaining steam. Alex, how about you? What do you have for us?
Well, I watched the 1993 Clint Eastwood action, more of a thriller film, In the Line of Fire, directed by Wolfgang Petersen. That's right. I knew Justin would react. That's right. If you want to see this, turn on cable in the middle of the day, which follows an old Secret Service agent who was one of the Secret Service agents protecting JFK when he was assassinated, and there's like a crazy like wannabe assassin like Zodiac or like Oswald type guy who's like he's just obsessed with killing the president, and like but also has this weird obsession with the agent who was there, so he like keeps trying to call him and like they're trying to hunt him down. I was drawn to it because Wolfgang Petersen directed Das Boot, which is like an all-time great film, but when he was still in Germany before he started making Hollywood movies, and that's like one of the best war films ever. Highly can't recommend that movie enough. It's so intense. This it's a movie. I mean, it feels like even more basic cable than you think it does, and it's not necessarily in the ways that you think, because honestly the main plot, and especially the villain is fantastic. Like John Malkovich plays the wannabe assassin, and this is like an absolutely amazing performance. He was up for an Oscar for it, and like he deserved that because he was incredible and that character was really good. I don't know why it was up for Best Original Screenplay, because outside the main plot is good. The subplots are awful. Like unwatchably bad.
You don't need to see.
Oh my god.
You don't need to see Clint Eastwood trying to fall in love with some other female secret agent for some.
She's like 30 years old, yo.
Yeah, with the big.
Yeah, that
big
is one of
gap.
the worst romance subplots I've seen in a movie. Like I'm not exaggerating when I say, and like a big movie, it is one of the worst and most out of place romance subplots I've ever seen.
Well, and like Clint Eastwood was probably old even back then because he's old now.
Yeah, he's there's literally a whole sequence about how he's trying to catch the guy, so he like runs with the motorcade, but he's too old and he looks like he's gonna pass out, and they're worried about him.
There's a movie with Anthony Hopkins and Chris Rock where that has the same subplot with Anthony Hopkins like romancing a younger agent or a younger agent trying to get with him, and it's like this is one of the weird. Why is we doing this, guys? This weird subplot does not need to be in here.
It takes over really, like for a large part. it's not just like a subplot for a while. It really takes over the movie for a long time because the first act is really damn good. It's really tense. Nothing's getting in the way. It's really interesting. It's all about John Malkovich, and it feels like, all right, like the tension is there now. And then like the whole first half of the second act is dedicated to the romance subplot. It just totally derails the tension. Then it ramps up a little bit, and then it derails it. The end is okay. It's got some good moments, but some of it is just too predictable. Some of it was really cool at the end, but overall, it's a very mixed bag. I definitely expected more, considering the reviews at the time were like amazing, and like the director is fantastic, and the concept is great, and it executes all of the things you would want it to, but it's the other stuff that just completely drags it down so far.
Yeah, the relationship between Clint Eastwood and John Malkovich is great. It's just all the background stuff. You're like, we don't need this, guys. Trim it, get rid of it. We don't need it.
Yeah, for me, like, I mean, because I have it at a 3 out of 5, and like the A plot is like a 4 at least, but the rest is so bad.
This just sounds to me like it's a Dirty Harry but Secret Service.
Kind of.
Not quite, because it does focus a lot more on the villain, and like there's a lot more interaction with him, and then it also has a terrible romance subplot for no reason, which Dirty Harry avoids.
Because Dirty Harry is, to me, like the perfect example of how you do like a tension-driven action movie like that, where it's like there's like no fat on that movie.
Right, and that's exactly the kind of thing I was hoping for with this, and that's really how this movie should be. It should be like an hour and a half with no fat, and it's just about Clint Eastwood and John Malkovich.
Yeah, there's 23 years between Clint Eastwood and Rene Russo.
I honestly thought it was more watching this movie, but I will say, I mean, John Malkovich in this movie is ridiculously good.
John Malkovich as a creepy weirdo? No.
Oh, you don't say.
It's not like he only plays that in most of his movies,
including when he played himself.
Hey, when you got something that works, just keep riding it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great actor. Like him in Red, like elevates that movie.
Boy, him in Red. He is the reason to watch Red.
I feel like weirdly, about so much of John Malkovich's career. It's like, oh, he's in a mediocre movie, but he's really good.
Look no further than Con Air. He's an awful movie, but he like steals the show.
It's because he's a truly fantastic actor. And now he's in Space Force, which honestly, he couldn't even save that for me. I had to quit watching that. That show was bad.
The one with Steve Carell.
Yeah, Steve Carell and John Malkovich are the leads of it. And they have like no chemistry. As much as I love Steve Carell and think he's amazing, he should not have been cast, at least in season 1. I heard season 2 that they retooled quite a bit, but he was just not a good pick for that role.
Is he more the straight man kind of thing?
No, it's him as a gruff military Michael Scott. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean,
he's
played
right.
that just doesn't work. I mean, like he played out of type in like Foxcatcher, but that's like much different.
And John Malkovich plays scientist John Malkovich. Anyway, for my pick, I'm gonna pick something that I watched that's kind of bandwagoning right now. If you're in the animation community, if not, you've probably never heard of it. But this is a giant show right now for people who enjoy animation, specifically adult animation, and that's Adult Swim's Smiling Friends. This is one of the funniest shows I have seen in a very long time. It's created by Psychic Pebbles, who's an online animator, hangs out with Chris O'Neill in the Oni Plays groups. It's him and some other guy who does a lot more animation. I'm looking him up right here, right quick, because I was dumb and didn't have his pull up. Yeah, it's Zach Hadrell, Psychic Pebbles, and Michael Cusack, and it follows these guys who work for a nonprofit called Smiling Friends, who get called in to help people who need to smile and need to have their day improved. That's their whole charity, and it's so ridiculous. Like, as you can imagine, it's Adult Swim, so it gets surreal, it gets weird.
Looking at images of this, it looks like I need to be like on acid or something to watch this.
It's not that kind of show. Like, you really have to come in expecting some weird shit, but it's not full Adult Swim 3 a.m. brain melting. It actually has what makes it good to me is the fact that like animated comedies have this weird thing now where they have to be depressing as hell and be super existential.
Yeah.
Where Smiling Friends just wants to be funny, make you laugh. And it's very successful at that. There's a whole episode that makes fun of the old like animated Hobbit movies. They're like TV.
Wow, yeah, I remember those.
Like there's a whole episode making fun of that. That's really funny. I want to say some jokes, but I don't want to ruin like really good jokes. So just take my word for just how funny this show is. The animation is super creative. Sometimes it looks like a flash animated like web short, but then they'll throw in some stop motion animation, some 3D animation, some live action. It is a crazy creative show. Like that. That's the part that I can stress enough is just how creative, inventive, and original that this show is.
It's just not a reboot from our childhood and been like, hey, we're giving you the old show that you used to like, but we're not bringing back any of the cast or the writers, and it's something completely different.
Just
we
have
brought
to
back
accept
the name.
No. This is what animated shows like need to be. Because it's so over the top. Because like the first episode, these two guys go in to make someone smile because they think he's sad, and the first thing they do when they walk in is see the guy with a gun pointed to his own head, like oh god, this is way past our level. We don't know what to do. Like it's that levels of ridiculous. Especially if you've seen anything with Psychic Pebbles and Oni and G back in the day, like you know what to expect.
Levioso.
And of course, there's lots of cameos from other YouTubers. Mike Stoklasa from Red Letter Media cameos in the first episode. Tom Fulp shows up. Happy Harry, Harry Partridge from Saturday Morning Watchmen and Irving the Socially Awkward Bee cameos. And there's also lots of references. If anyone else here watches Oni Play, there's lots of references to that and a lot of the jokes they make. So to me, it's very rewarding, but I think for other people that they'll still enjoy it just as much. So yeah, it's currently available to watch on Adult Swim on TV or HBO Max for streaming. I highly recommend it. There's 8 episodes. They're 11 minutes each. It's not a commitment. I really recommend this show. It's really funny. It'll put a smile on your face. I wish I could say more about what happens in it, but I really want people to experience the jokes for themselves.
All right.
So with that, we're back to our movie pick series. This week is my pick, and I chose a movie that is a classic in my household growing up. It's the 1992 SNL adaptation Wayne's World. For the uninitiated, Wayne's World is an adaptation of an SNL sketch that always aired at the end of the night whenever they were kind of getting ready to wrap up, and to kill however much time they had left for the live show, they just do Wayne's World and let them kind of kill time. But it quickly became, what was that?
Them vamp.
Basically, and it quickly became like the most popular sketch on the show, mostly because Mike Myers and Dana Carvey's performance as the characters Wayne Campbell and Garth were really good, and the two had amazing chemistry, and so they got offered to do a movie based off the characters, which you would think right away would be just a quick cheap cash in, but they actually tried to make it a movie, and the result to me is a really subversive, self-aware commentary on commercial cash-ins. And the reason why I picked this movie is, one, meta filmmaking is such a big thing now.
Space Jam.
But not just Space Jam, right? Chippendale Rescue Rangers is another one. Like there's Ready Player One. There's just so much meta stuff. Even like Deadpool, right?
Even Marvel's getting into that nowadays.
Yeah. And stuff like Deadpool 2, where they break the fourth wall and talk to the camera. It's very popular. In Wayne's World, can't really say first because I can't prove that it was the first one to really do it. But it did it right in the way a lot of movies currently use it. But also, I think a big struggle that filmmakers and media execs recently have is speaking to the current generation of young people and finding a movie that actually like speaks to them on deeper levels. And I think Wayne's World in a lot of ways is that movie for that generation. I think it tapped into an essence of the 90s that in a lot of ways, I will admit, dates the movie. A lot of the jokes haven't aged super great, but there's a joy to it that I really gravitated to, even as a kid. But before I go even further into my deep Criterion booklet level analysis of fucking Wayne's World, I'm curious what you guys thought on it, because I think it was your first time watching it for both of you.
Yeah, I'd never seen it.
Yeah, I've seen clips of it here and there.
Well, everyone knows about the Bohemian Rhapsody bit.
Well, yeah, they had like a commercial go for like a year of that stuff. So.
Yeah, well, which
I honestly, that's the funny thing. I actually did not know about that bit. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I did not, but I knew about like the advertising one, and somehow I had seen the music video shoot scene.
Interesting. That's a random one.
I would see it on occasionally because it's big. It, like my parents like it a lot, so like I've seen it on. I've just never sat down and watched it until now.
The Bohemian Rhapsody scene like hit like a new cultural level. It like revived that song and led to probably the absolute worst scene of the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, which is
that's something you could bang your heads to.
No, it was Mike Myers as a record exec saying no one will ever bang their head to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
I almost left the theater at that point.
I almost did too, but I was getting sick from the editing. So
anyway, what's your guys' thoughts on it? I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I mean, see that's not a great start. That makes it sound like I thought it was bad, and I don't. I think it's a decent movie. I don't think I get where the appeal comes from. Like it is very that's what I'm looking for. Fuck. It's like a very clear picture of its era. Like it's super 90s for better and for worse. It's a time capsule, like you said. I would definitely call it that because like it's very much like wow, like this is how the 90s kids memes see the 90s.
Definitely.
This right here, and all the people who are like, oh, remember this? I'm so 90s. Like that's this. However, what helps it is like you said that it's so genuine. Like it's not just trying to do that or like milk on that. It's like no, it's just like very genuine, and the characters are very genuine. I think some of the bits don't quite land or are a little too silly. Some of them just are perfect, especially when anytime it's commentating on like the sponsorship stuff and that kind of thing. Like that stuff's all great, or like just like the TV stuff. That's all great. I do think there are about 6 too many music videos in this movie.
Yeah, which was a 90s thing. Although the Alice Cooper bit did lead to probably my favorite part of the whole movie, which is Alice Cooper talking about Milwaukee. It's this guy throwing a party for what?
Yeah, that was right. That was one of the really funny bits. So to me, like there are multiple bits that are really funny. It's not to me necessarily as consistently funny because not all of them worked for me, but the bits that did worked really well.
I agree with everything you said, Alex. I am with you on that. It's like things that worked were great, and there was things that it didn't really work for me. But I mean, I liked the movie. I can't say like I loved it or I hated it. I thought it was a good movie, but I'm like not super high on it. I don't know if it's just this being the first time I'm seeing it, how old I am or anything, or
yeah, that's the one thing. Like if I'd seen it earlier, because like obviously there are people who saw it at the time, or if I saw it earlier, it might have that kind of special effect. For me, having seen it now this much later, I'm not nearly as high. And not that it's a bad movie or anything. It's just like, yeah, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle on it. I mean, I feel like this is the first time I've ever heard the words "I agree with everything you just said," Alex, on this show.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to unite. I'm about to academically give you the people's elbow, but
that's fine.
But yeah. I'm glad I could bring you guys together. No, I think the points that you guys gave are very fair, and I think doing the research I have, how high you are in the movie seems to be how willing you are to forgive the dated bits. Mm-hmm. Like that's a trend that I noticed.
See, now I've seen this when I was younger in the 90s, maybe I'd probably like it more, considering I'd probably accept it, be like, oh yeah, because that's how it is nowadays. Now it's just like, man, that's 90s is like 30 years ago.
See, and that's an interesting way that you guys looked at it, because I guess for me, when I watch it, even as a kid, I didn't really pick up on the 90s bits, and I instead more focused on the meta bits. Like that's more what I gravitated to and focused on was how it took film structure and messed with it. So I think that's just kind of interesting on how people watch movies and what they pick up on and how everything is different.
Most of the meta stuff worked really well. I do think for me, like, I'm sure there are going to be lots of people that also disagree. I think the end was a little much in that, like, the movie doesn't really have an ending because it does like 5 meta bits.
I would agree, but I also do love it. Like, it's funny.
But
I wish
they are
there was a
funny.
concrete ending, but it is funny to me. That
I agree. I agree that that was a little weird at the end, but I also enjoyed it because it was like, oh, we're not going for the Hollywood ending where it's everything is good. We went like, oh, you're not good enough. Try harder next time. And then like, wait, we're going to the dark ending. Wait, let's go back. Let's just go redo one. I was like, okay, that was fun. I mean, I enjoyed that.
Well, and how it like makes fun of itself. Like the part 2 that always Ed O'Neill's cameo in this movie does not get enough credit. When his character steals the camera and starts doing the narration, talking about murdering for passion, I die laughing every time. It's so stupid.
I did too. I was disappointed he wasn't in it more.
I wish. If he was a bigger name, because he wasn't really a big name at this point. If he was a bigger name, I think he would have had more of a role in it.
Isn't Married with Children going on at this point, though?
Yes, but it wasn't as big as it is now. Married with Children wasn't really a hit until like season like 5 or 6.
Okay, so that he'd be just ascending right about then.
Yeah. He'd be rising up. And I'll be the first to admit too that some of the jokes have not aged super great.
Yeah.
Ones that have aged really well. I mean, the Bohemian Rhapsody bit is iconic, but that whole stretch of the movie is just winner after winner after winner joke wise. Like, if you're gonna spew into this and into the tiny cup, or even with the Bohemian Rhapsody bit, when there's a clear scene that, I mean, I've done all the research because I have the DVD and that comes behind us documentary. The fact that Dana Carvey didn't know the lyrics to Bohemian Rhapsody, and if you watch the movie, it's very clear he doesn't know what he's saying and is just trying to like. Oh,
I literally thought that was like part of the joke.
No, it was not intentionally part of the joke.
Funny.
He just didn't know the lyrics.
I took that more as his, like, because he talked, I figured that was just how it was or whatever.
Oh no, that was just him not. That was this film being an experiment. Because Penelope Spheris did rock documentaries. This is like her first like big movie. So she was experimenting. Mike Myers was on the come up, which sadly this movie supposedly destroyed his working relationship with Dana Carvey for a while. They did this in Wayne's World too, because Mike Myers was kind of a dictator, but
and I just decided to play all the characters and Austin Powers.
but you see, you get a lot of genuine moments like that. Like the other, like one of my favorite jokes of the movie was ad lib, and that's, did you ever find Bugs Bunny attractive when he dressed up as a girl bunny?
I was hoping, like, I forgot to look it up after, but I was hoping that was improv when I watched it. I'm like, that's gotta be. I really hope it is.
It was like Mike Myers laughing was his genuine reaction.
Yeah, watching that, I was like, that's definitely improv.
Like that's big because you didn't Carvey laughing when Mike Myers is laughing, and it's such a funny bit too.
Well, and because it's such a genuine laugh from Mike Myers, it's like, okay, yeah, that's gotta definitely be it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Because he wasn't laughing in character.
No, he was like literally laughing as himself.
Because that's one of those jokes that I'm honestly pissed that this movie made, because I wish I came up with it like beforehand.
Did you ever find Bugs Bunny attractive as a child? 2 years later, Warner Brothers. We should use that. Space Jam.
Not the point, but but I guess to me, what speaks this movie's it spoke to my parents' generation, definitely. I mean, my dad, around the time this movie came out, looked like Wayne. he had long hair like that and wore hats like that, like he has in the movie. But honestly, looking back, so much are dated. But like, I mean, we kind of, Justin, especially when we lived together, we kind of lived the Wayne's World life.
Yeah.
Like, in a lot of ways, this movie is like very 90s. It's, and swing and shit like that. But like, we drove around, we jammed out to music. We went to not a donut shop, but we went to McDonald's and stuff late at night.
Mm-hmm.
And
we didn't stop at a guitar store, but we stopped at like comic book shops or
Walmart at midnight for the cheap movie bin.
Walking around campus.
Yeah, like there's just a genuine feeling to it, especially with its rags to riches story that I haven't even mentioned yet, where it's about it's about this public access show, Wayne's World. They get opportunity from a evil, you could say, TV producer played by Rob Lowe, who makes them rich, kind of, but turns the show into a corporate sellout show, which is weird because it's basically commenting on the movie itself. It's this really like bizarre, like 4D meta commentary on the movie, making fun of the movie that the movie actually is. But everyone kind of wants that, right? Like, in a lot of ways, weirdly speaking, Wayne's World predicted like the rise of the modern YouTuber in almost like a weird like network way, like in like the dystopian way, sort of. Because in the movie they reject the consumerism, but now if you go on YouTube, you see some small YouTuber making really good content, and then 2 weeks later you watch a new video and you're hit with a 2-minute ad for Raid Shadow Legends or Manscaped.
Maybe that can happen to this show.
Maybe
we will bow to no sponsors.
But the thing, right? Like we are doing Wayne's World right now, in a sense.
Yeah.
Not entirely.
No, we're not.
It'd be fun if we could. But I think there are a lot of people that want to live that Wayne's World life, and YouTube kind of let it happen, but not in the way Wayne's. I mean, YouTube is Wayne's World in the Wayne's World dark ending, in the bad ending of Wayne's World.
Sorry, kid, you're just not good enough.
Which, and like I said, I respect your guys' opinions. Like, I didn't really pick this movie because I expect you guys to love it. I picked it because I love it. And I wanted to share it and talk about like how it predicted shit in the meta commentary of it, and how it actually uses meta commentary right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's to me that's the, like I said, the ending. Like, I definitely get the appeal of it, and it was funny, but for sure the rest of the meta commentary in the movie for me was like the best stuff. Like, that's really when it was rolling and at its best. Obviously, there's the one obviously very famous sponsorship scene, but there are lots of other scenes where it's doing really great meta commentary.
Tell you how it like switches narration, like and how like seamlessly does it too. Because like the one scene when they're in Rob Lowe's apartment, and you have at one point the cameras with Wayne, Tia Carey, and Rob Lowe, but there's another character that's with Garth snooping through this guy's apartment as he's looking really for reasons to not like him.
Well, that was the one fun part, like at the beginning with Ed O'Neill's character, where the camera was just following him, and then you got Mike Mario's character just come up like, "Hey, who said you could talk to the camera?"
or at one point, Wayne's complaining, and the camera just leaves him.
He's like, "No, wait."
Yeah, he's like, "No, come back. I'm sorry."
The movie is like, "Yeah, I'm done with you," which is really bizarre. And then you get like some references, like he references to Laverne and Shirley with stuff, so which I think just adds to the fun factor, whether or not it really makes a ton of sense.
The T2 cameo,
which is so random but so funny.
Yeah. Or when they're playing hockey in the street, and they're like, "Car."
That would be the most genuine part in the whole movie. Is playing sports in the street and car. I will say, if there is one part that to me hasn't aged the greatest, as much as Psycho Hose Beast has become such a damn good quote, the Crazy X storyline has not aged great.
No.
It might be the weakest part of the movie from a narrative perspective.
Well, especially when she pulls the whole pregnant card, like, "Grr."
Well, that's because that's the bad ending. It's Wayne's worst possible ending, which is he loses Cassandra and Stacy's pregnant. I mean, and the gun rack bit's kind of funny. But and like I said, Psycho Hose Beast is a really good quote that I hear a lot. But that part in the Claudia Schiffer bit are like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think we kind of mentioned it briefly, where like the narration, like the narrator like walks away from him. That's like kind of the low point in the movie. I will say one thing this did that I think all of my favorite comedies do, at least comedies that don't have like a very heavy dramatic component, is that it makes jokes through the low point, because too many comedies have that moment where there's no comedy for a solid 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, you're right.
And it happens way too often. Now, again, if it's like a movie that has comedy but is more about like the drama, or like, and these aren't that common, but like an actually good rom-com, that's like, okay, like, you can get a little bit of time here because you've actually built up that storyline well enough. But even then, it's a lot of times better with the jokes in it. Like, this was a great example of that, where like everything's falling apart, but like, they get the fourth wall breaking joke in there, and there were a few other ones that were really funny during that whole time, really. So it never stopped making jokes.
Because I think the low point is when Wayne goes to make up with Garth. Garth is in the donut shop murdering a donut man. Go doing the psycho noises.
Yeah, and like he has this fight with Vanessa, which fuck. I kept making that mistake in my head too. Cassandra. I'm thinking about Austin Powers, but yeah, where Cassandra, that's like the one scene that really doesn't have any jokes in it. And then right after that, it's making jokes again. Which I think my favorite example, like the Jump Street movies, the recent ones, did that, and like I think this does that really well, of just like keep making jokes.
Well, I agree with you. Too many there are those movies at the low points just get rid of the jokes, and I feel like in a lot of ways you're taking yourself a little bit too seriously sometimes when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there were jokes in Wayne's fight with Cassandra, yeah, that would kind of ruin that scene,
right?
Especially because especially because that scene is Wayne accusing her of cheating, basically,
mm-hmm.
and you want to play that straight. But even like when Wayne and Garth break up after the show, after Wayne gets fired from the show, they're fighting, but there's that scene where the plane goes over them, and you can't hear Garth saying very horrible things until the very end. Which I do want to comment on that too. When they go to the professional TV setting, somebody who works, or at least I guess I don't really anymore, but I worked in a TV studio for so many years, and the scene where they're counting them down now is so much funnier to me as a kid. When they're learning the count from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, that was so much funnier to me now. And just the whole working in a studio environment part of it. You have like all like Wayne's entourage. It's all a bunch of like heavy metal looking dudes.
And they like control the cameras and shit.
You didn't say 2 or 1. Well, you don't say 2 or 1. Why not? Because you don't.
You just don't.
Wayne, Garth, I see you guys nodding. No, don't nod. Just stand there.
Don't mouth the numbers. It's always fun to see Kurt Fuller in a movie.
Kurt Fuller is such a unappreciated comedic guy. He's so funny and just does not get. And he's hilarious in this movie too. What does he say at the happy ending? I learned that there's nothing wrong with platonic love between two men.
And he's a very good at being the smart guy, but also saying the dumb thing at the right moment.
Benjamin wouldn't betray me. Benjamin's my friend. If Benjamin were ice cream flavor, he'd be pralines and dick. Well, and then again, the scene where he's just driving the guy like, I love you, man.
Thanks.
And I feel like the I love you, man joke came from just a bit when they were just vamping off camera. And that guy was funny. It's like, hey, let's give this guy a scene where he goes, I love you. Just say thank you. There's so many just good jokes with this movie that, especially the ones that the planned film format, like the one, too, that we haven't talked about yet that I really want to, which is the Chris Farley cameo as the security guard, where he just delivers a whole bunch of exposition.
Seems like that stuff will be important later.
Yeah, the film just acknowledges that, yeah, we're just dumping this out here. We really don't care.
Then later it's like, well, it was a good thing that security guard gave us all that pertinent information.
Like, it's so stupid, but doesn't take itself seriously, which I think to me is one of the biggest problems with something like Deadpool, is that Deadpool, although really funny, takes itself, in my opinion, way too seriously as meta commentary.
Like it tries to force it in too much. Well,
yeah, especially in the movies. Like I don't know if it's the minority opinion to think Deadpool 2 is better than Deadpool 1. I certainly do. But like,
yeah, I think a lot of, I feel like the first one is definitely more popular, but
I think the first one's a better movie, but the second one has a lot more fun and like I'm crying in my seat laughing so hard moments.
Yeah.
Well, see, for me, Deadpool 1 tries too hard to be meta.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does it too often, or it doesn't feel like organic and normal. And something like Wayne's World, or another example, Emperor's New Groove.
That's a fantastic.
Because it's not like Wayne's World's always meta. It's not like they're always commenting on what's happening. It happens quite a bit, but I think it doesn't overstay its welcome.
See, I think Deadpool wouldn't be that way if he also, like, when he talks to the camera, it'd be fine, but then he also throws out all the meta jokes, like calling for both Xaviers or whatever. Maybe it's just a little too much in Deadpool.
Well, Deadpool also just needed more money, so it didn't have to constantly rely on the meta humor. You could actually have action sequences, and not write out why Deadpool only has 8 bullets in his gun or whatever that bit was, and make it act like it's because he forgot and not because they couldn't afford to have a bunch of guns in the movie.
Uh-huh.
And I guess to me, like Deadpool is super meta. Space Jam 2 is really meta. It's not out yet, but Shipping the Rescue Rangers looks really meta. And in Wayne's World, I think, is an example of how you do meta, right? So is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But I don't know. These new popular-ish meta movies just aren't doing it for me, at least as a whole. I mean, I enjoyed the first Deadpool movie, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it. And I enjoyed Ready Player One, even though I don't think it's amazing. But I don't know. It's a trend I'm not the biggest fan of.
I think.
Yeah, I agree, because you kind of have to do something with it.
I think
a lot of them get meta in the corporate sense, where
and I think that's where it gets it wrong nowadays. Is it's too busy trying to promote something else, where this one just felt organic, where they were talking to you like you were a character that just joined their friend group or whatever kind of thing.
It's synergy disguised as meta commentary in a lot of cases, and this one isn't. And also, it doesn't like explain why the camera's talking to you, which is cool, or they're talking to the camera, because they don't need to, right? Mm-hmm. You just kind of accept it, and which is interesting because, you know, how do you take an SNL sketch that's 10 minutes each and make it into a feature-length movie? And they found a way, and unfortunately, this movie is what caused the stretch of SNL sketch movies that were just not good. like Wayne's World and Blues Brothers are like the best examples of the SNL adaptation. Most are not good. I'm trying to think of, here we go. Here's your list of SNL feature films. Blues Brothers was the first, but afterwards you had Wayne's World, Coneheads, Wayne's World 2, It's Pat, Stewart Saves His Family, Blues Brothers 2000, A Night at the Roxbury, Superstar, The Ladies' Man, and MacGruber. Most of those are really bad. MacGruber is a cult classic now.
Yeah, that's become really popular.
That's what I gotta see, because I've heard some good things about it.
But Coneheads, It's Pat, I'm pretty sure has a 0% Rotten Tomatoes score. Stewart Saves His Family is right there with it. Like they're just bad movies. And part of it is you, with Wayne's World, you had a director in Penelope Spheris who was willing to try and make something subversive and a little bit unconventional, which is why she fought with Mike Myers so much. Because she didn't want to make just a movie. She wanted to make something that spoke to young people, but was also like kind of like self-aware, making fun of itself a little bit. Which is why the movie works. I don't think it would work had it gone and tried to be, you know, Coneheads or any other just normal 3-act structure movie. Kind of like what Wayne's World 2 is, because Wayne's World 2 I've not seen the whole thing of. It's not good. Like no one likes Wayne's World 2, mostly because it takes itself way too.
And also I don't really know why. Besides money, why it's a movie that would have a sequel.
Well, I mean, money was the big one, but I think also part of it was Mike Myers wanted more creative control with it. And Wayne's World 2, it has decent reviews. It has a 61% Rotten Tomatoes score, but like my parents hate it. It's like diehard fans of the first movie just don't like Wayne's World 2.
So many people will like it, Alex.
Well, I think it has a lot of the same issues of Wayne's World 1, but I think what keeps it from being dirt bottom is the fact that Mike Myers and Dana Carvey are just so good as the characters.
Well, that was the other thing about this movie was like, I just keep thinking about that quote. Was it from Mike Myers or Dana Carvey? It was like, we're just like 30-year-old dudes dressed up with a bunch of makeup on or whatever.
Well, and I guess that's the saddest thing about Wayne's World is what ended up happening to it, where you have those was it Grubhub?
Yeah.
That had the ads for the Super Bowl where they came back as their characters and did basically the whole making fun of sponsorship ads unironically. And it's like, oh, this is really sad. And then Cardi B shows up for some reason.
Yeah, it was Grubhub, it looks like, or Uber Eats.
Oh, okay. So it was Uber Eats, which was a terrible commercial, terrible ad, mostly because it butchered one of the best scenes in the movie by just doing it unironically.
And just throwing Cardi B in there for no goddamn reason. What really speaks to the kids nowadays? Cardi B?
And Wayne's
all right.
Kids love Mike Myers.
Yeah, they love the Love Guru.
You know?
I mean, Mike Myers is such an interesting story, right? Like, dude was on top of the world, and then he made Love Guru and disappeared overnight.
Well,
it's like he never existed at that point.
It kind of probably shows that he probably was not the best person to work with on set. And then once
he was paid ass.
And once they had a reason to like ditch him, they ditch him. They're like, look, Love Guru failed. Bye.
Well, because like a lot of people know the only reason why the Cat in the Hat movie exists is because they're going to do another SNL adaptation of one of Mike Myers' other characters, but he didn't want to do it, and so he just refused to act in the movie for Universal. Universal sued him and said he was ordered by a court that he had to star in one movie for Universal per his contract, and so they picked Cat in the Hat.
Wow.
The Cat in the Hat was court ordered.
Dude's doing time.
Basically, yeah, it was a jail sentence. Which, I mean, as a kid, I liked that movie, but I don't want to watch it now.
No, you don't.
Are you talking from an experience?
I caught it somewhere, whatever. I caught like a scene, and I was like, this is really bad.
Sorry, which movie?
The Cat in the Hat.
Okay, because I was going to say, I've seen Love Guru.
I mean, Love Guru, I've seen large portions of because I couldn't watch the whole thing.
It's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's a horrible movie. That's all about hockey, right? Justin Timberlake's in it.
Yep, and the guy who played Vern Troyer's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Simpson, Jessica Alba.
Gross.
Ben Kingsley.
That's right.
I think Mike Myers made enough money from Shrek where he's fine.
Well, aren't they rebooting that too?
Eventually, but who knows if he's a part of it.
It's weird learning later that was originally supposed to be Chris Farley.
Yep, and then it was supposed to be Mike Myers in normal voice. And then he said, you know what, I'm going to redo this with a Scottish accent. Made them redo the whole movie. And now if you Google Mike Myers now, he turned into Steve Martin. It's really funny.
Oh, jeez.
He doesn't even look like Mike Myers anymore. And did you guys watch the Gong Show that he did?
No, I've heard about it.
I think I've seen clips of it or whatever.
Where he pretended to be a British comedian named Tommy Maitland. and like ABC basically pretended that it wasn't Mike Myers for like over a year. I got into a fight with my parents because I was like, oh my God, that it's Mike Myers. And And like, no, the thing is, it's Tommy Maitland. It's like, that's freaking Mike Myers. I just Googled Tommy Maitland, and it's not. He's not a person. I don't know why Mike Myers to be someone else. That's really freaking weird and stupid.
Yeah, he's either pretending to be someone else or making like random surprise cameos or bit roles, like being in Inglourious Bastards,
or Bohemian Rhapsody, where he just poo-poos on one of his greatest works.
Isn't he like doing documentaries or whatever?
He's done a lot of producing work.
Yeah, he did a documentary called Supermensch that's supposed to be really good, actually. I think part of it is he just made so much money that he can kind of be forced into retirement and be okay. Because I think he took a back end deal for Shrek.
Probably like, I don't need to do nothing anymore. I'm tired of putting on the weird makeup and playing 12 different characters in one movie.
There was a point in time where I kind of wished Mike Myers would be a Batman villain. I think he almost was at one. I'm pretty sure he was almost Riddler at some point, but now it's probably way too late for him. Again, he seems to just disappear, like you said, into bit roles and weird cameos where everyone goes, "Oh my God, it's Mike Myers!" And now
until they get wind of him, if he's cast in a Batman movie now, they're gonna be like, "Is Mike Myers the Joker?"
Here's 10 reasons why Mike Myers is the Joker. Here's
along
some
with the poorly photoshopped picture.
And in reality, Mike Myers is just some dude named like Steve, who's just some like random like politician.
I'm trying to think of what villain he could play.
When he was younger, probably Riddler. Now, I don't know, Penguin. He's kind of big enough, but Colin Farrell looks like Colin Farrell's kind of in Mike Myers makeup.
Yeah, he's in a Mike Myers suit.
It's kind of what it looks like a little bit. I don't like that. Although the real person who disappeared from Wayne's World is Dana Carvey.
What about Master of Disguise?
What about it?
I want to be the master of disguise.
This is what you're doing. This is what I want you to do.
You just tell me to shut up.
The worst movie that we can all quote half of.
I'm only quoting shit from the trailer.
Are you not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
Yeah, like it's a terrible movie. Why do I know so much about it?
I'm gonna be honest, I love that movie as a kid. Like, I know it's fucking terrible, and if I watched it now, I would hate myself for watching it or ever liking it, and that's why I'm never gonna watch it again.
So what you're saying is we have to pick that one day just.
No! Fuck!
Is that gonna be on the Oscar punishment group?
Never even seen it, so.
I've seen parts of it. Well, guys,
I've seen the whole thing many times and the deleted scenes.
It's not a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's just a 1.
2. No, it's a 1. Yeah, I watched deleted scenes repeatedly from a movie that has 1% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dude, when I was a kid, I watched the Steve Martin Pink Panther movie on like repeat. Like, kids have garbage taste.
Which one, the first or second?
The first one, the hamburger.
Oh yeah.
Which as a kid I liked. I'm not gonna, oh my God, his character's name is Pistachio Disguisey. They weren't even trying. How did it make $43 million on a $16 million budget? How was Master of Disguise a success? Like, it made money with a 1% on Rotten Tomatoes, often regarded as one of the worst movies ever made.
How dare they? No, it's terrible.
It won an award, the Stinky Thinkers Bad Movie Awards. Winner, most painfully unfunny comedy. It's also nominated for Worst Actor, Worst Fake Accent, and Worst Picture.
It had to have won Worst Fake Accent.
Hold up. It tied with Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Kung Pao is not unfunny. Kung Pao is amazing. I love Kung Pao. I'm pretty sure I was drunk when I watched it, but it's a funny movie.
For Kids' Choice Awards in 2003, it was nominated for Favorite Fart in a Movie.
You
got scream prestige.
Scooby-Doo won with Matthew Lillard.
If you can't win Best Fart, I don't know if your movie's in good shape.
Scooby-Doo is a masterpiece, okay? Scrappy-Doo's arc is one of the greatest.
Is the greatest tragedy since Citizen Kane.
Have either of you read James Gunn's original script for that movie?
Yes, I've read some of it.
Because you sent it to me, and I've read I think half of it. It's amazing. It's
I really feel like he made that script on a troll job, like making an R-rated Scooby-Doo, thinking like, why not? They'll just reject it, and they literally made it.
Yeah, like I mean, there's the eggplant joke that's holy shit, and there's like some genuine jokes about Scooby being an idiot that's like really funny. Where like there was one where like they said that the Scooby couldn't do something because he was a dog, and Scooby's like, I'm smart, and he grabbed like a piece of paper and wrote like 2 + 2 = 6 or something like that. like the whole part of the movie is Scooby-Doo's an idiot because he's a dog.
Remember, cats are not dogs.
I have to remember cats.
Cat is not a dog. I kind of wish Derek Harvey was in that movie. He's just like the only dude who's not in mocap. He's just in the cat suit. Master of Disguise style. What the fuck were we talking about? Oh yeah, Wayne's World.
We went on a long tangent.
So stupidly off topic.
We need to take a U-turn to get back on track.
It is interesting with Wayne's World seeing Tia Carey being like live action because I only really know her voice, or Tia Carrere, whatever the hell her name is. The main villain from the Duck Dodgers cartoon, and Lilo's sister in Lilo and Stitch. Her also singer of the banger I Never Even Told You from the end credits of Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh, that is a banger. It's very random, but it's good.
It should not be the end credits of that movie. Probably one of the greatest moments of any movie ever is Batman: Mask of the Phantasm super operatic score into smooth, sexy sax. Also, I have to give credit to my man Meatloaf. Rest in peace, Meatloaf.
Yeah,
you were in this movie for all of 30 seconds, but you would never be.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't remember. I'd see it like I couldn't remember who that was. I'm like, I know who this is,
and it's Meatloaf. What's also interesting with this movie as well is what happened to Penelope Spheris after it. Like she really did not have a lot of movies afterwards. For how big this movie was, you would think that would make her like an in-demand director. And
yeah, it's pretty shocking.
Like the films she made afterwards were the Beverly Hillbillies, the Little Rascals, which I've seen way too many goddamn times. Black Sheep, which is terrible.
Probably what sunk it.
It's senseless. Well, the Beverly Hillbillies is also a notoriously bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Little Rascals is probably terrible, but I loved it as a kid.
Yeah, that one at least made money.
Because I got 2 pickles. I got 2 pickles.
All I ever hear is people love that movie.
Well, yeah, because no one's seen it past the age of 10.
I'm sure it was right after Wayne's World, but then eventually like had enough, bad ones in a row that her career kind of tanked.
Especially in the 90s, it did not take much.
It's not nowadays where the people who keep doing bad movies must have dirt on somebody.
It does. It's not days where Zack Snyder can literally make a movie so bad an entire studio restructures itself and completely has to redo their entire structure, and he still gets $100 million movies.
Fun fact, she directed the 2003 Oscars.
I mean, cool. You just kind of point where cameras go.
Yeah.
But they always get big people to direct that, because didn't freaking Soderbergh do it last year?
Yeah, that's why it's so weird. I love Soderbergh, but what is he doing?
Wish you wanted to bet they're just sitting up there in the booth smoking cigars, drinking while they're just like, yeah, make it look good.
Let's be real. Last year's Oscars wasn't directed by Soderbergh. It was directed by Questlove and his bizarrely hilarious music cues. I think it was when Nomadland won Best Picture. When they were walking off stage, he started playing "We Can Build This Dream Together" by Starship.
Yeah, they were
He's gonna stop. He's gonna stop us now. It was really funny.
Yeah, and this song correlation did not work with whatever was going on at the time.
He gave no shits. He was having fun, which is what you should be doing with that, I guess. I'm just looking up all the stuff on Little Rascals now. I don't even know why. I think it's because I have to remind myself that movie actually existed, because it's been so long. Dude, the 90s were a weird movie time.
Very weird. There was a lot of different stuff.
And I do have to contest with you, Alex. You said that Wayne's World is how the 90s kid memes remember the 90s. I would have to disagree. Wayne's World is how our parents remember the 90s. The 90s kids memes, let's be real, are made by people who were born 98
or 99.
Yeah, so it's really the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's their stuff is like, I'm such a 90s kid. I loved SpongeBob.
He premiered in 98.
Yeah, like 99, even worse.
Oh yeah, like that's an early 2000 show. I'm like,
Yeah, like I loved Dragon Tales, and I loved Roly Poly Oly, and SpongeBob, and Fruit by the Foot. Is that even still a thing?
I think it is. I literally saw like a billboard for Fruit by the Foot like recently. I can't remember where I was. I think it was in like Hollywood somewhere, and I was like, that exists still. That, let alone making a billboard for it.
I mean, I haven't seen anything for a long time because Fruit Gushers and Fruit by the Foot were like the same company.
Oh yeah, and I remember. Yeah, I never liked the Fruit Gushers, but I saw like 800 of their ads,
which were always like super weird.
Yeah, like some acid trip.
And honestly, like to me, Fruit by the Foot just looks disgusting.
I kind of liked it, but it would get gross, like trying to eat it or like stretch it out.
Mm-hmm. And just think about that. You don't see commercials like that anymore.
Well, yeah, because we're on a health kick now. And half the stuff we ate as kids was just sugar and chemicals. I mean, do you guys remember when Toy Story 2 came out and they had the glow-in-the-dark white chocolate Buzz Lightyear candy bars?
Yes.
Why would our parents let us eat anything that glue in the dark?
They let us eat purple ketchup.
That's also true. That's right.
That's right.
Ketchup. That stuff was gross. Or do you guys remember the Cheetos that turned your tongue blue?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Why?
What were we doing? Actually, the one thing that I do miss was the Nickelodeon and Burger King Slime Time slushy thing.
Oh,
I don't even remember what it tastes like. I remember that I liked it. But I was also like a small child.
Right. They even had slime sauce too.
Listen, I've been trying to talk about the 90s, but I was born in 96. Like, I remember some of 99. That's about it.
I was born in 93, so I at least had like 97 through 99.
The 30 here. I just remember Phantom Menace.
I remember Toy Story 2, and that shit be everywhere. I mean, my parents, God, were they? Oh, God, they were younger than me, I think, when Wayne's World came out. Oh God.
Whoa.
Like they're younger than I am.
Hey, let
now.
me do the math. No, okay, no, I'm good. I'm still good. I was doing the math in my head. No, I'm still good for a little bit here.
69. It came out in 92. So like 23. Oh, that makes me feel old.
Hey, sock 'em boppers.
Are you looking up 90s stuff? Just like,
yeah, I am.
Just like sock 'em boppers.
I'm looking up 90s commercials.
Where there's sock 'em boppers, there's moon shoes, kids.
The roller skate shoes.
No, Heelys were 2000s thing.
Okay, yeah. No.
I had a pair of those.
Bop it. Do it.
Furbies, those weird robot dog things.
All right.
This is such a weird era that this movie portrays.
Those electronic pet things that you had to feed or they'd die.
Oh yeah.
Tamagotchis.
Yeah.
Imagine just the graveyard of Tamagotchis right now.
It's pretty high when I was a kid, so you can imagine that.
Yeah, imagine now they're all fucking dead.
Yeah, it's because those things are harder to keep alive than actual pets.
Yeah, I know. You had to feed them all the time. Like, it was insane.
Half these toys are even like before my time. Except Beanie Babies, I was there for that.
Yeah.
I think Winslow has stuff like The Clapper and like arcade games that were even old when like that movie came out. But like, who went to arcades in the 90s? Oh, that's right. That's when Street Fighter was a thing. Never mind.
Dukin.
Yeah, it was like the very end of it.
Oh, the 90s. How we never will forget, no matter how hard we try, because there'll always be some meme. Remember Thomas the Tank Engine?
Remember Nickelodeon?
Remember Barney? Those kids don't know what good cartoons are, even though half their shit's the shit we grew up with.
Yeah, I know. Literally, like,
just dumbed down.
Do these people realize that they're still airing the same SpongeBob episodes? Like, literally, all of the kids born in the 2000s also watched it.
Our kids will grow up watching the same episodes we watched, which is a terrifying thought to me.
Time is a flat circle. SpongeBob is eternal.
Bob will never die.
I will say it is interesting, especially with our obsession with 90s nostalgia, how that kind of has divided the Wayne's World response. I mean, you go on IMDb and a lot of the other like sites, a lot of the negative reviews, or even not negative, the ones that are like only slightly positive even say it's because it's dated. It's because the jokes don't always land. It's because it's kind of stuck in the 90s. And I think I'm just more forgiving of that. I think I don't necessarily see that as a detriment to it. But I see where some people would.
Yeah, I think at times like it has like a distinct feel to it, and like it's fun. At other times, yeah, I do think it's a little too dated. But for me, I'm kind of somewhere in between. Like sometimes it helps it a little bit because it's like a picture of that era, but then other times, yeah, the jokes are just like.
In some cases, I think it's comforting, but I also feel like the feel of the movie is universal. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, of just these friends trying to make it big, hanging out, making killer robots. Which I'm surprised none you have mentioned what might be the most infamous scene in the movie, which is the robot arm scene.
Yeah, when Garth just builds a robot for no reason, and it never comes back.
There was a subplot that was cut, which was he was building a robot to kill Rob Lowe, but it got cut halfway through filming, and they just kept that scene and just thought it was weird.
Yeah, it's honestly really funny that it's just there.
Are you okay? Change with are you okay with change, Garth? We don't like change. And then just smashes the arm because it's going try and kill Benjamin. I love crap like that. That's like so that's just so strange. But when you explain it, it kind of makes sense.
It's just so
like,
random.
I never thought Wayne's World would have David Lynch levels of weird having to explain stuff. But
it's like the T2 cameo. It's just like it's out of nowhere, but it was funny as hell.
Have you seen this boy? I mean, to be fair, if I was a cop, I would love to do shit like that just to fuck with people, right? Mm-hmm. Have you seen this boy? Just scare the crap out of someone. And that cameo works because they got Robert Patrick to do it, which makes it kind of timeless. If it was just some random dude who kind of looked like Robert Patrick.
No, the fact that they got him makes it even better.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, this has been fun, but we're running out of time, so let's do some final thoughts on Wayne's World. Much as I don't want to hear the final thoughts from you guys, we can do final thoughts. I guess since I picked it, I'll start. And I'll end because I'll end positively. So whoever wants to go first can go first.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty decent movie. You know, it's fun. It's very funny at certain points. I enjoyed it more than that makes it sound. Really, like I think the more I've sat on it, the more like I've thought about the bits I really enjoyed. To me, not all the jokes fit, and like some stretches kind of go on for too long. But when the bits do hit, they're really funny, and it does have a very energetic kind of genuine spirit to it. So I certainly see how people like it a lot more than me, but overall I did enjoy it.
Score. We do this every week, Alex.
I think I'm willing to go. I think I'm willing to go 3.5, maybe.
I'll accept it.
That's essentially what I gave it to. It was about 3.5. I agree with you.
Yeah, I was on 3 for a while, but yeah, I think I'm.
I'm kind of surprised because I was getting ready for my favorite pastime, which was bullying Justin to increase the score of a movie.
No, I enjoyed the movie. I'm a little disappointed. I thought it would have worked more for me, but I guess I don't know why. It just didn't hit me right. I don't know. But there are bits that are really fun, and I laughed, and there were other bits where it was kind of like, okay.
Would you guys maybe argue that the movie was possibly a little overhyped?
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
I think that definitely. I was expecting like an all-time banger a little bit.
I
probably, because I feel this exact same way about Blues Brothers.
Interesting. That's another bold statement to say too.
Yeah, that one was hyped up for me, and I finally watched it, and it just didn't live up to the hype for me. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, but it was just like, I'm not seeing what you guys are seeing. Or that's why I always like whenever someone hypes up something, it's like, okay, I gotta at least wait, forget about it, and then all of a sudden find it at my own time. Because if I watch it and it's not how it doesn't live up, then everyone's mad at me. Because it's like, well, you guys gave me higher expectations than you guys had when you went into it.
I guess for me, I love this movie. I've always loved this movie. I got it for Christmas, I think, for my grandma when I was a kid. When we watched it with the DVD, which is an amazing DVD. DVD, by the way. The menu is a guide for a fictional TV service, and it actually has we can click on other channels, and it plays clips from like the Brady Bunch and stuff. It's a fantastic like old school mid 2000s DVD where they put a lot of creativity into the menus. But I love this movie. I think it captures the spirit of a generation. I think that makes it universal. I love the characters. I love the jokes. I don't think all of it has aged super great. Like I said, there are some specific moments that's like, oh, geez, that's a little dated. I guess that's all I'm willing to say. But I still laughed my ass off. I actually I actually lowered my score this from 4.5 to 4 because of the dated stuff. But that said, it's one of the highest 4s I could ever give. I still love the movie. I will still always love the movie, and will always spread the word of it. Just because I quote it so much, just naturally. A lot of the scenes live rent free in my head for a long time after every time I watch it. I think it's one of my probably all-time favorite comedies. I think it's just from a pure makes me laugh standard. And because that to me is the most important thing with the comedy is just making me laugh, and it makes me laugh quite a bit. So for that, I give it 4 stars out of 5, which sounds lower than I think I truly feel inside, but that happens sometimes, right? Like films are higher.
Not all 4s are created equal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like not all 5s are created equal.
Yeah, because there's some 4s that are super high, like Wayne's World, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. That I can't give more than the 4, but I love as 4s.
If Batman's not at least a 4, I'm gonna be upset.
I mean, it's being hyped up, and and you said the Batman, right?
Yeah.
Because that's next week's episode. This episode will come out after Batman has released, but because of how we record and do things, we'll have to do it after, like long after Batman. But you know what? Give people time to see it, and so we can do spoilers without any real reprehension. And then after that, Alex, you have your pick. Do you want to tell everyone what your choice for us to watch?
Well, in the mood of De Palma movies, and also I guess really cult movies, because this is one that has a big following and at the time wasn't super well received, but kind of combining some themes here. We are doing the classic 1980s crime film Scarface by Brian De Palma.
Mm-hmm. So
which I don't think either of you have seen. Is this true?
I have not seen.
I tried to watch it, but it was on cable, and that's not a way to watch it. So, like after the first scene, I was like, okay, I can't watch it this way.
It depends. Did they bleep it, cut the audio, or change the words?
Bleeped it.
That's better than some.
But they also kind of
that's still a lot.
They blurred all the blood and shit. So I was like, yep, gotta watch this some other way.
But it's not like watching Tropic Thunder on FX when they change the words. And Tom Cruise is like, "Hey, Red Dragon, fart face, turn around and punch your own face," which always is almost funnier than the unedited version of that movie.
That's one thing about R-rated movies is finding them on cable, and they have the changed lines. It's always ridiculously funny.
Yeah, it's almost worth watching, even though it's terrible. But that's our thoughts on Wayne's World. Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us on social media for more crazy, weird rants and arguments like this. Next week's Batman, we hope you guys tune in. I think that's probably going to be a big episode for us, because I'm sure we'll have tons of thoughts on the movie. Hopefully they're positive.
Please.
We'll see. But thanks so much for listening. This is David Yanish for Alex and Justin. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Idiot Plot. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to Idiot Plot. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, follow us on Facebook and Letterbox. The links are in the description.